We're going to start with Patrick because his birthday person has a bedtime.
Hi, my name is Kieran, and for my birthday, I got a raccoon picture, and I really like raccoons.
No, let him talk.
That looks fierce.
I also got this book. It's I Survived D-Day, and I like the I Survived series.
Oh,
and it's the World War II I Survived D-Day book.
Oh my goodness. Well, can everybody go off mute to say happy birthday to you?
Happy birthday,
Happy
Patrick.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
So what's going on in your world, young man? Your birthday happened today. What age did you hit?
10.
Congratulations, double figures.
Thanks.
That's fantastic. Are you at school physically or are you remote learning?
Virtually. But I may go back to school physically.
And are you looking forward to that?
Yep.
Because it must be pretty cool to see all your friends.
Yeah, one of both me and my brother's friends are in his class.
Oh, wow. And what is the meaning of your T-shirt? Walk us through it.
Sid City. It's from UHF. It's a movie.
Ah, that's fantastic. Have you ever seen anything of Deep Space Nine before?
Yes.
What have you seen?
I saw all the episodes with my dad once.
Oh my goodness, and you're only 10 years old.
Yep.
You know, it took 7 years to film them. Did you start when you were 3?
No. I think I did when I was around 8 and stopped when I was around 9, I think. But I do remember it took a long time.
What have you learned during this time, this COVID time? Have you noticed a big difference in your life, or does it seem like normal?
It seems like normal in certain ways, and it seems different in certain ways.
How is it different to you?
It's different because I don't have to go to school physically, and most of stuff is online. And it's similar as going like for walks, as like recess, and having like homework and still having school.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing that you've been doing over the last few?
Playing video games or reading.
Oh, I like playing video games and reading. We're just like each other. What are you playing?
Squadrons.
What's that about? Is that a battle game?
Yeah, Star Wars Squadrons.
Ah, of course. And what are you flying?
I usually fly TIE Reaper or Y-Wing.
I bet you're just one of those kids who goes around really messing with all the adults, like blowing them up before they even know what's happening.
Yeah, probably. I usually equip missiles and stuff.
Yeah.
Usually I customize the ship with different stuff. And I'm on level 10.
And do you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have a brother.
Is he younger or older than you?
Older by 14 months.
Okay, so that you're pretty close.
And also I was on the Halloween special as the raccoon.
Oh, that's really cool. I do remember. And hi, brother. What's your name?
Malcolm.
Nice to meet you, Malcolm. So, Dad, how is it with these two wonderful boys? How's the family?
Good. I mean, mostly good. We're all a little concerned about the rising cases, but we're also heartened to know that the vaccine's coming soon. And hopefully by this time next year, we'll be able to get mostly back to normal. Although I won't complain if I never have to commute again.
You bet. How long was your commute?
Too long. One of the things about Toronto is that even compared to New York and LA, it has some of the worst traffic in North America.
Oh, yeah.
So it was 20 kilometers, but it took over an hour to get there. And really, in the kind of work I do, there's no reason I needed to physically be there. It's a horrible old building, nowhere near any of the clients we deal with. So partially, this has been really good for me, saving money, saving gas, saving the environment, but Absolutely. It will be good for them to go back to school, I think, to be with friends and stuff when it's safe.
I think that'll happen pretty soon. I'm hoping that works out for you guys. I'm hoping that's the case. I mean, I'm no epidemiologist or virologist. I'm learning all these new words. I'm hoping that maybe your company figure out that you don't ever need to go back to work if you don't want to.
Yeah, like the work's never stopped. I've never been busier, but really there are some people who need to be in labs or in certain places our team just does a lot of stakeholder relations between levels of government. So even when we can be back meeting in person, it's all going to be down here, nowhere near the office. So I hope that part of it continues and, we evolve.
It's an evolution. There's a new raccoon has arrived in the room. Who's this raccoon?
Termacum.
Hi. How long have you guys known each other?
It was in 2018 when we went to Lake George. We won him at an arcade.
Wow, you've got amazing memory for detail. Raccoon's your favorite?
Yep.
We got lots of raccoons where we are. Do you have lots of raccoons in Toronto?
Yeah.
They kind of come around the trash cans and have a little party.
Uh-huh.
And you can hear them.
It's known as the city's animal. It's kind of like the unofficial mascot. Love relationship, hate relationship, right?
Yeah, I can hear them partying all night. They're slamming the bins and they're like playing calypso. They're just having the best time.
Like they're really, really cool.
Do you have any idea what you'd like to get into, Mr. Raccoon Boy?
No, not really.
Do you like sports?
I like skiing, swimming, and dodgeball.
What's your favorite TV show at the moment?
Simpsons, Gravity Falls, and a lot of others that I forget the names of because I haven't watched it in a while because the new seasons haven't come out yet.
Yeah, I get it. I understand. I'm just thinking there's a movie I'm doing that is just about to come out, but I don't know what the rating will be. And I'm not sure. There's some bad words in it, put it that way.
I don't know if this is good parenting or bad parenting. Last year, he has been bothering me to watch Alien and Aliens for years. And I said, you're just a little too small. You just can't do that yet. So I made a deal last year. I said, if you can watch the first one and be responsible and not have it terrify you and not use bad language, for the year, I will bend and let you watch the second one early because on the one hand, tons of swearing. On the other hand, it is one of the best movies ever made.
Yeah.
And he fulfilled the obligations. And I thought, a deal is a deal. If he can act responsibly, then I should fulfill my part. And
absolutely, Dad.
Did you like?
Wow.
Yeah,
You got to see Aliens already?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, you clearly have got some part of you is way more adult than other parts of you. That's a scary film.
Yeah, it is.
But did you act responsibly?
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, and you don't swear like a trooper when you go out. Good.
Not that I know of.
I'm really happy to hear it. The film I've just made, I think it would appeal to the whole family, but there are some weird words. I didn't just make it. I made it in March last year, but they're just bringing it out next week or something. And it's called Skylines. Yep. But I saw it with my wife. And normally I wouldn't even be promoting it to anybody. I'm just letting it go. You can ask Mel. She has to badger me, like, what are you in that's coming out? Will you please tell me? And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. And it looks really fun, I have to say. It looks like a good, fun film. There are some swear words, but most kids, certainly from 10 years on up, understand where those belong. And there's so much part of the vernacular these days. I'm certain that kids just wait for their parents to leave the room and they're like, bap, 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 with all these crazy words.
Yeah, the trailer looked okay for a fun, light Friday night movie, right? Your character looked pretty awesome.
The trailer kind of doesn't quite do it justice. So okay. I'm really happy to say that. It really is a lot more fun than the trailer. I see that huge yawn arrive behind you, your boy there. I couldn't be wishing you a happier birthday. Did you have a cake?
I don't really like cake, so we had ice cream and macaroons.
Wow, that's pretty sophisticated. Macaroons.
When I went swimming with my mom, there would be a macaroon store near us, and we would always go there to get a macaroon.
That's great. I love macaroons too. And I don't like them very much.
And also why we like them was because we watch a lot of Pokemon then, and it looks like the Poke Treats that they give to the Pokemon.
Oh yeah, it does. Absolutely. I used to play a lot of Pokemon on the little Nintendo Game Boy. Which is your favorite Pokemon?
Charizard X.
Interesting choice.
What is the Dark Charizard? Or Dark Mewtwo. Just probably something dark.
I don't know how much longer there is of your birthday, and I know you've got to get to bed soon. So I want to wish you a huge, big happy birthday and to give you a virtual huge hug from over here to over there.
Thank
you. You're very welcome. And go and have a really lovely night's sleep knowing that you had a happy birthday.
I will.
And big up to your brother too back there.
Yeah, well.
Why don't you even do this?
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing him in. And I'm glad he had the courage to do it. Clearly, he's not lacking courage.
All right, Petra, I'm going to go to you next.
Hello.
Petra, always lovely to see you.
Thank you.
Has it been your birthday?
It is my birthday.
Happy birthday!
It is my birthday.
Well, can everybody go off mute to say happy birthday to Petra? Our Petra.
Happy birthday.
Happy
birthday,
birthday.
Happy birthday, Petra.
Happy birthday
Thank
to
you. Thank you.
What have you been up to, sweet one?
I'm in bed, but I'm
Good.
not sick because it's 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my goodness, I remember now. This is a terrible
I'm in
time.
Switzerland.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh my gosh. Are you just getting up or are you going to bed still? Which way
No,
is it
no.
going?
I had a bit of sleep, about 3 hours.
Yeah, I kind of get 3 hours sometimes. I can get by. Are you allowed to leave the house yet in Switzerland?
Most of the time I stay in the house when I don't have to work because we are doing not well with this COVID thing. It's not good.
No, it's not very good in America either. No one's making real progress over here. I mean, certain states are, but it's pretty weird. And can I just tell you how much better your English is since first?
Oh, come on. Thank you.
Weird. I have known you that long that your English has gotten noticeably better.
Oh, thank you. And I'm still so excited. Almost the whole DS9 cast. My heart is beating
It's not
like
bad.
crazy. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
they all came to say hi. It's great.
And-
And they've been so gracious, you know.
And Terry was here. I was crying.
Absolutely.
I was crying.
Terry has been amazing. She was ready to go last week. And we said, oh, we can't do it last week. And she was like, okay, I'll wait. Bring me on next week. She'll come round and she'll talk to everybody, I'm sure. She'd love to come and say hi. We just have to make sure it's convenient for her because she's new. So make sure we're really sweet to her until she's been here a few weeks and then we'll rough her up.
Hello. Hi everyone.
Hello.
I have a cue. I brought Q.
You
Where's
did.
the birthday girl though?
It's really good to see you both together. Whose birthday is it? I'm confused.
It's mine.
Happy
It's mine.
birthday, our martial artist. Is it your birthday today? Is it in a couple of days? Yesterday?
Well, for us it's tomorrow, but for you guys it'll be on Thursday.
Wow, that's great. And when's your birthday, Q?
31st of December.
So what have you been up to? What have you been doing? Have you done anything for your birthday that's sort of, because I know Australia are doing pretty well with all this.
Our state has no cases at all, and we haven't had any cases for 40 days today, I think. No new cases, no active case. That's the word I wanted.
Crazy.
Yeah, so that's why we're allowed to be in the same room.
Yeah.
I'm here.
And Australia is not a small country, so I mean that's quite an achievement. That's really amazing.
To be fair, we can't live in most of Australia. Like the middle bit is just like you can't live there.
Yeah,
It is just barren bush.
Right.
Bush.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody
Yeah.
owns the coast, pretty much. But that's just, I'm so jealous, you know. I don't know how many cases we had in the States today, but it's probably over 230,000. I don't know, but it's crazy numbers we have here. And the records are being beaten every day. It doesn't sort of slow down. How many people can it get? Is anyone left? My wife and I have gone into a more severe lockdown than we were back in March. I've bought some masks that are a bit like, I don't know, carpet. They're so thick that I'm wearing to go outside in. But hey, you know, we know how to do this. It's just unfortunate. I'm a bit pissed. What did you do today oh, it's not really the same time of day, is it? What are you going to do today?
We've watched the other episodes of Alone together so far. But yeah, because I've got to work tomorrow on my actual birthday. So
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
And Q, what
Oh,
do you do for giggles?
Well, I'm a student, but that doesn't make me giggle. I just finished my exams probably like 2 weeks ago, so I'm technically on summer holiday.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Are you in danger of graduating?
I have about 4 units left of my law degree, and then I'll graduate. But
Oh, you're doing
fingers crossed I
law.
pass.
That just never stops. You will always be studying law.
It's a doozy.
It is. And do you enjoy it? Are you really enjoying it?
Yeah, I do for the most of it. I find maybe the core unit's a little bit dry. Like, I don't really care about trust law. Sometimes I do interesting subjects like human rights law and
space law.
Space law. I did write an
Space
essay
law.
on space law and the moon, which I did sneak in a Star Trek reference, which I felt very good about.
Wow. Of course, someone's got to be a space lawyer. Everything's
Yeah.
taken off in space.
I don't know if you remember a little while ago, Q was the one in the chat going, "Oh, I don't have anything interesting to talk about. I can't sign up to talk with Sid," as she's doing a unit in space law. Space law.
Can I just be clear that I'm here under duress, and she said it was her birthday present that I show up, so this is under duress.
This is false.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm glad you're under duress.
I was just so scared.
So space law, is it a bit like, international law? It's a bit sort of very nebulous because we don't really know what international law is, and it requires the cooperation of every country in the world to go, yeah, we agree internationally that you may not fish in these waters.
Yeah, pretty much. We have like the Outer Space Treaty, which is like regulates kind of like when you go into outer space, who owns what and that kind of stuff, and what kind of rules everyone follows. But it's all very like, you can sign up to if you want. There's no one to enforce it. Yeah, like the Moon Treaty is one about like basically saying that we can't mine the moon and that kind of stuff.
So China just put a flag on the moon like yesterday.
Yes. Under the Outer Moon Treaty, you can't technically do that. It's not subject to like national sovereignty. So
they're making it clear.
Technically, it doesn't mean anything. Yeah.
Don't care.
Yeah.
Going, you know what? We don't care. Well, they get to do what they want to do because they're pretty powerful. So unless someone goes no and proves it, then that's the way it's going to be. You know what? America and before that, the UK did whatever they wanted to do too, and no one could complain. So I want to know, Shannon, what you plan to do when you actually celebrate your birthday. And maybe a week away, it may be like in a month, you may have deferred it. Is there a particular place you love to go and eat, or is there a place you like to have a barbecue or something outside? Because you're in the middle of, you're headed into summer. You're right in summer now, and so it's pretty boiling hot. So probably not spending tons of time out there.
I honestly probably will not do anything. I'll probably just
usual? Is that your default? You just prefer not to do anything?
Yeah, like people are constantly like, Shannon, you need to like have like parties and stuff, and I'm like, no, I don't want to. Everyone's like, we need to have something in December, and I'm like, you've got Christmas in literally just chill, 2 weeks.
You're probably like me, because I've always hated parties at which I might be the center of attention. It's just nothing more embarrassing when everybody has to come up to you and go, hey, hi, happy birthday, or whatever. They can't just get on with their own business. I've sort of always got to be on alert for being nice to someone. That's just terrible. Are you the same? It's sort of
I feel that.
Yeah, a weird shyness. We'll have to start an anti-party movement. Actually, you know what? We don't have to. COVID did that for us. It's done.
Exactly. Everyone's too close.
Absolutely. How did you guys find each other?
Twitter.
Yeah.
But Sid City, pretty much. Yeah.
We both started watching it at the same time because I was like, oh yeah, I watched Little Achievements. Yes. So Elmi, it's your fault. This is your fault, Elmi.
The little angel who brought you together.
Yes.
Yeah, we watched that, and then like we just started both going to the meetings at the same time, and so like while everyone's talking or we're watching the things, it's both of us just screaming at each other on Discord, just being like, what's going on? Or we're talking about bees, and yes.
Fill me in. How does the Discord work? Because I haven't used it yet. But okay, there's a screen and you can see everybody on the screen. And then there's a chat on the screen, which is another thing.
Discord is pretty much just the chat.
It's just text-based. So you can go onto a kind of a video, but most of the time it's just text and it has different channels. So you can talk about different things and different stuff.
Oh, so it comes up on your computer screen, much like the chat comes up at the bottom of my computer screen here. So you can be watching TV and someone will be Discording you.
Yes, I
I don't know if that's the verb I would use, but yes, I do like that verb. though.
yeah.
I quite
What's
like
that?
the word.
We'll
I mean,
add
Discord.
into like the Sid
We'll
Sid
put
bingo.
the Sid bingo.
I
Discording.
love, yeah, I love the word Discord because it's such a counterintuitive word for a community shared experience. You know, a chat. It's kind of a bit heavy metal.
Because it means to have an argument. To have discourse.
It means, yeah, unharmonious.
Huh.
Or
Yeah, I never realized that.
simply put,
Huh.
unharmonious. Yeah, it's like either musically discordant, or people arguing. Yeah, it's a very biblical word. There will be great discord, and whatever the things, something and brimstone, fire and brimstone, and people turning into pillars of salt. All that Old Testament stuff you want to avoid, because not the Old Testament, you can do it, but don't get into the pillars of salt stuff. It's Job had a hard time with it, so would everybody else, I imagine. You're looking at me like, what's he talking about?
We both went to Catholic school and we're just like, what's happening?
Yeah.
We're bad.
That's what happened.
We're bad Catholics.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going on.
I was at an Anglican school, which is a sort of, yeah, obviously much more modern version of Catholicism. I wouldn't say modern in any other way except literally chronologically. I had to go to church every morning, every day. And I wasn't even Christian, but I had to go. And I kind of dug it. I kind of got into it in the end. It's because we could sing songs, and I quite like singing songs. And occasionally we'd do little plays for the school, which I thought that was kind of fun because I was part of what was called the Christian Union, which is the sort of cadet corps of the church.
I was an altar server
Same.
when I was a kid. I did not know. Okay,
I was
we're
an altar
finding
server
things
too.
out right now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're learning
We're
stuff.
not here, but we're finding things out. I literally signed up to be an altar server because I wanted to ring the bells. And the bells at the front of the church. You get to ring them. Best part of the service. I sat through everything.
They love all the ceremony.
Bell.
I wanted to be one because they told me only boys can do that. And I said, that's unfair. So I became an altar server as a girls can do that too.
Good.
So
Good for
we
you.
both dedicated our lives to religion in spite and very religious ways.
Gosh.
It was good motivation.
Well, you seem really nice despite the fact that you're going to hell, clearly. I'm sorry, but there it
It is
is.
the nicest thing someone said to me.
Sid's condemned us. Oh my god.
I used to take communion. I wasn't allowed to because I hadn't been, I mean, in our church services, we could go up and kneel and take a piece of bread and a little sip of the booze. If you had been communed, I mean, you had to, you know, it was a contract. And I just got in line and knelt down. And our vicar, our priest, whatever, would always see me, growl at me, and give me a little piece of bread and a little sip of the wine, and then put me in detention straight after. And it was clockwork. It was like every 2 weeks. I would always get in that line and kneel and go, here I am, okay. Pretty good, yeah.
Did you not have to do a sacrament to...
No, you have to do. You have to do something. And I'm really trawling through the Protestants here will know better. You have to do take communion, which is an actual course in Protestantism. I'm assuming someone will correct me.
I'm all confused by the growling.
The growling was because he was pretty angry.
Oh,
It wasn't canonical.
yeah, I was like, that doesn't sound Christian.
It was not canonical. I mean, yeah, I mean, but I'm Muslim, but put me in a mosque, I will not know what's going on or what to do or where to stand or anything. So that's, to me, really complicated, the whole prayer routine for Muslims. I've had to learn it for its various parts I do, and I've been told that I can't do the whole thing in one go because it's sacrilegious. So if you pray, you must pray sincerely. You cannot pretend to pray for a movie. And I understood that. That made complete sense to me. So I just did things wrong, and they would have to cut around it. And I'd say, like, I'm not praying, I'm just singing to myself. But don't watch one of my movies and think he's singing to himself. I've just ruined it.
I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna watch all of them. Every religious thing is just.
Everything I do, and it's all he's just singing to himself. He's just nuts. I loved having you on. I love Q that you're together in the same room. I think it's progress. We all want to be like you. Ooh, ooh. I hope we all get to be like you. Ooh, ooh.
I thought the video was echoing. I was so
Nope.
confused.
It's a little bit of the Jungle Book. Get an ape like me. Man too. Ooh, ooh. I love that song. Lovely having you both on. Thanks for
Having a
coming.
religious woman.
I'm crazy. I know. Certifiable. That's because I'm alone. I don't have a queue here.
Everyone needs a queue.
Oh,
Whether it's John Delancey or we've got our queue. This is the Australian queue.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming by. And happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Shannon.
Happy birthday, Zach.
Hi.
Happy birthday, my friend.
You
Anyone
forgot
who
to
hasn't-
say it to Shannon.
We did. We forgot to say happy birthday to Shannon.
Oh, we didn't say happy birthday to Shannon.
Happy birthday, Shannon.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday.
Shannon.
Happy
Happy birthday, Shannon.
Shannon.
Happy birthday, Zach Shannon.
Happy birthday.
Zach.
That's
Happy
my
birthday,
bad.
That's okay. It was Jesus punishing us.
Indeed. I think now you've served your punishment. You're forgiven. You're good.
I've repented.
You're
I'm
back.
gonna go back in my box now.
You're back. Happy birthday, my friend, Mr. Teapot person. It's good to see you again.
Yep.
How's the leatherwork going?
Well, actually, there's a project I have been working on. I haven't had a lot of time to really work on it. I've been getting bits and pieces done. It's a variation on what they call a rogue's book or poison book, but it's one of those books that's kind of like a secret hidden inside.
Oh yeah, they've got a thing inside. Oh my goodness! Wow, look
So
at that.
kind of working on this, a little teacup inside for my steampunkers.
That is so cool. And there's
Yeah.
the teapot that was the star of your
Oh,
Halloween
yep.
prank.
Yeah. And as for the leather, this is the cover that I'm making for it.
Oh my goodness, that's beautiful, really lovely. And how do you do that? Do you burnish it? I mean, is it done with peat?
There's a special type of knife called a swivel knife. It has a nice fat blade, and I cut into the leather.
Yeah,
And this type of leather, it's the same leather that I use for the masks.
right.
So like the masks, when it's dry, it's stiff, but when it's wet, it's soft and moldable. So I do the initial cuts around to get the shape. I wet the leather, and then I use a tool called a modeling spoon to just press around the edges of the cut. And that helps to depress around what I want to see, so it brings out the leather shape.
I see. Wow, that's quite intricate work.
So
And that's by Kazuko Ororura,
Yeah.
perhaps.
it's the Book of Tea, which is an old Japanese text on tea. So
I love that about the Japanese culture. There was a time where I was obsessed by the Japanese culture. I was reading all this ancient military kind of formality. They kind of mirror some of the great formal cultures, and it actually probably surpassed them,
Yeah.
especially because their hierarchy is so strict. I think they've chilled out a bit in the last century, but it must have been pretty tough being a kind of low person in Japanese culture over 100 years ago. But it was fascinating. I think it was Philip Pullman that got me involved, interested in it, because of the book he did. And I can't remember what it's called, but it was not Dark Materials, but the other one. I thought it was really wonderful. Are you a lover of things Japanese?
well, I partially. I mean, I'm not an expert in Japanese culture, though I've done a little bit of just interaction with the martial arts, the tea, the anime. I can in no way call myself an expert.
Yeah, well, I can't call myself an expert in anything.
So
I'm really pretty chilled about that. Is that going to become something else, or is that going to be framed? How's that going to go?
this is actually going to be the cover of the book. So
Ah,
eventually, after I die, I'm going to stitch a spine onto it, and it's going to wrap around the pages. So this will be the front of the book cover. So
and do you dye in the traditional stuff that they use, like in Africa, which is sort of a urine-based dye?
that I don't use. I do modern stuff. In fact, there's Tandy, which is one of the
Something
big other
else?
companies.
Something more modern?
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah, I mean, I could probably get use my hibiscus leaves to get the red going and all that, but there's an environmentally friendly based dye. use.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah, the dye they use in Morocco is definitely not environmentally friendly. You can smell it from like
Yeah.
6 blocks away. It's like they are dyeing leather down there. And they have these, have you seen them? These
Yeah.
big pits, they get in them. And it's pretty, it's not for the light stomachs.
Unfortunately, I haven't seen that. Where I was in Africa, there wasn't a huge leatherwork culture there, so I didn't really get to interact with it there. So,
Where were you in Africa?
a country called the Gambia.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I've never been. And what was it like?
So I was there with the Peace Corps 2 years, and it was intense. Every day was interesting. You know, there were people who were getting sick around me. There were people who were celebrating around me. We had our highs, we had our lows.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Oh, because we're talking about Africa. This is a photo of my great grand uncles. I don't know if you can see that. That's
Yeah.
all the guys. All these, he had all these children. And one of them gave birth to my great grandfather. And then, you know, the rest is just biological. But got this sweet man, a cousin I met in Germany last year, who I didn't know existed. I've got lots of cousins I don't know exist, but they know I exist. And when I come to town, they're like, "Hi, I'm your cousin." I'm like, "Oh my God, that's fantastic." And this one particularly sends me photos. He's an archivist, so he's got photo of the Mahdi, the guy who was such an inspirational leader in Sudan back at the turn of the 19th, 20th century. It's really fascinating to see my grandmother with the scars on her cheeks, which they cut into her cheeks when she was a very young kid. But that's to denote what family she is, and she's very proud of those scars. And she's no longer with us. But I remember that vividly. I remember touching them as a little kid, just running my fingers along the cheeks. Anyway, when you said Africa, I just went to there.
In the Gambia, we had several different tribes, several different peoples there. The Wolof that were there, they actually had the cuts as well.
I think that it denotes social status. I don't think I think it must be terribly inhumane. But I had to stop. And all the youngsters, that no one does that. No one's done that for 60 years. But it used to happen. What was it like working for the Peace Corps? What was your gig? What did you do?
So I was an agroforestry extensionist. We were generally the first people in, and we focused on the tree planting and the gardening. And then I also worked on what we called appropriate technology, which was basically just low-level things that, like how to make soap, how to make rope, little gadgets here and there that could just make things a little easier for the people, but not be so technologically advanced that they wouldn't know how to use it once we were gone.
I hope you don't find this offensive. Did you feel that they found it patronizing that you were teaching them things that they probably had other answers to for centuries?
Well, some of it was letting them participate in the collection of the knowledge. Any place we go, first of all, they ask us to be there.
Right.
So it's not so much of us imposing ourselves on it, saying, hey, we know better than you, and marching in. It's invited in. Some of the stuff was stuff that they were already doing, like the soap making and the rope making, but there were little clusters of people who knew how to do it, but not everybody. So I was just kind of assembling the knowledge. Some stuff was stuff that was just coming out or that was being used in other countries that we could use too. The big thing that kind of got me semi-notorious among my friends for years was the fact that I could make a refrigerator out of 2 clay pots, which was something that people were just starting to put together as a variation of the old evaporation cooling system.
That is pretty cool, I have to say. That's a pretty good use of physics. I mean, that's amazing. What is the core mission of the Peace Corps? Is it to export American ideas, or what's at the base of it? Where the nitty-gritty, the small print.
So there's 3 goals. First goal, of course, is to do the development work, to just try to reach out, help people kind of get together, help people kind of build a better life.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 goals are kind of ambassadorial, where we go and we just live. We're actually banned from doing any sort of preaching. We're banned from doing any sort of politics, but we're supposed to just live there to show kind of a practical, this is what a real American looks like. Yeah. And then the 3rd goal is to kind of bring that information back and start talking about the cultures we've lived in, so that Americans can start to understand what other cultures are like outside of.
So there's an anthropological mission there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. The minute you said it, I was like, "Ooh, Peace Corps." I've heard a lot about it. I've seen it in movies. Tom Hanks movie, I can't remember the name of it. That's all I kind of know about it. And people joke about it a bit, sometimes. I'm often asked to represent charities, and I often say no, mainly because there's a problem. And a lot of charities, because of my background, like, for example, Amnesty International, who I really used to love, and I still love them, they can't work with me because I happen to have a political person in my family and in another country, and that puts them in a difficult position. But also go down to the very bottom of the page and you go, and we're there because we're going to preach this text or this Bible or this whatever. And you go, that's a little bit, the prime directive comes into play here, and I'd rather you didn't break it. Still a Star Trek actor, I remember.
I've seen those missions. I've seen the missions where there was lots of preaching involved. I've seen the charities where they raise all this money, and then what they do is they collect expired medications and give to people, where they take the money and they go to the hospital and they buy them fancy doorknobs, but there's not a lot of like a connection with what they need.
Yeah, because they might not have a door that will hold a doorknob. Yeah, hello.
With Peace Corps, being underfunded meant that we had to kind of like really focus on the roots. So we're not collecting a lot of money. We're doing needs assessments. We're told not to do any real work for the first 3 months. We're just supposed to live there and learn what's actually going on.
How did you feel you got on with everybody? Did people respect you? Did people like go, well, I'm a bit suspicious of these guys, or were they just really grateful?
I mean, the people of the Gambia, in general, are just very nice, very polite, very accepting. Hospitality rules are very important there. So
that's the same all over Africa.
So they really did their best to kind of welcome and protect us and make us feel as comfortable as we could be. Being male-bodied, it was a lot easier on me. A lot of the women, they did have some harassment issues, but being male-bodied, I was
much easier.
This was before I really grew out the beard. Half the time they didn't know what gender I was with a ponytail.
Right.
That was lots of fun stories there. But for the most part, I did feel safe. The kids were, once they realized I wasn't going to be the tourist, just throws candy at them. Things settled down, and the kids really were kind of my best friends, and I would go out and they would all come around my hut. I remember one of the more fun things I did is I'd sit there with a fan and they'd surround me, so I'd fan them. And then one kid would reach over and grab the fan out of my hand and then fan the circle, and they'd start passing the fan around the circle like a game.
Wow, that's really cool. So that was a really positive memory for you. It's a really positive experience because it must have shaped you in some way. I mean, I wish everybody could afford to go to countries in Africa and other places. The people in this club, I wish we could all swap countries and see what each other's cultures are like, because it does make you grow. It does help you. It makes you really just expands your horizons. I was super lucky as a kid because I had parents who really believed in traveling their child, making sure that, and they could afford it. So I went to all sorts of fascinating places. Obviously starting in Sudan, England was a fascinating place to me. My gift to my 18-year-old boy when he was 18 was a 3-week holiday through all of Europe, every country. And as long as he gave me a list of the hostels that he stayed at, and it turned out that it was a bogus list. He was sleeping on the sidewalk in some places. Travel is a gift, especially now in COVID. I'm suddenly really I miss travel more than anything.
And there's just something about, we get so locked into one mindset and the culture that we grow up with. And there's just something about going into another culture that just breaks it. And you just become, you never come back the same. And it's just because the world is so different to you, just traveling in between.
I haven't been to the Far East, what we call the Far East in England, which is basically, east of China and all the countries on the peninsula there, Vietnam and Cambodia. I haven't been to the Philippines. I mean, there's so many places I'd love to go. I've been lucky enough to get to Australia, and I've been lucky enough to get to New Zealand. Have you been to that part of the world?
Not really. After Peace Corps, they give you the choice of the ticket home or the cost of the ticket home. So I ended up doing a short trip through Europe. I stayed mostly in England. I hung out in the Greenwich area of London. I checked out Glastonbury. I checked out Nottingham because I love my mythologies, of course.
Yeah.
And then my brother was living on an army base in Germany, so I spent a couple of weeks there too.
Right.
So.
Yeah, England is very beautiful, lots of parts of it. But Britain in general, obviously Wales, you would not believe the beauty. And obviously the west coast of Ireland. is heart-stopping, and most people have seen it in Game of Thrones in one shape or another. I think it's been and the East Coast. What really is exciting about England is that you can get to all these other amazing little countries within minutes.
I love the mass transit. Yeah,
it's fantastic that you can be in another language in 45 minutes. And then another language in another 45 minutes on one of these fast trains. It's lovely seeing you again. Happy birthday. I'm losing my mind. I completely forgot Shannon's. So I'm just in that area where I'm going a bit gaga. I've been talking on Zoom for the last 24 hours to over, 35 different press outlets. Every 20 minutes, another one. And then some would be for an hour and a half. And I had a 2-hour break before I came on today. You just become you try and be real. You try and say interesting things to these people because they ask you the same questions they ask everybody. It's like, so what's your character? He's a general. What do you want? But it's just made me go a bit gaga today. I love talking to you guys. I've just been reeling out, trying to be funny and amusing to press. It's funny, the dynamic in talking to press, apart from the fact they're all paid to come and listen to you. You are paid, well, I was in my initial fee, part of my contract, to say nice things about the film. Now, whether or not I like the film, and that is really difficult to do when you don't like the film that you've just done. I happen to really enjoy the film I just made. This Skylines thing was really, really, really good. I was surprised and just so relieved. But I've done films before where I just went, I hate this film. What am I going to say? And I'm like, it's beautifully lit.
That's the pull quote on every poster. It's beautifully lit.
The cast were really nice.
Crafty was good.
Yeah, exactly.
We had Fruit Loops. We are going to talk with Lisa, and I hope Kira is there.
Kira is here.
Hello.
Hurrah! It's good to see you both.
Hi.
Hello, Kira.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hello. Oh my goodness, you are a spitting image of Major Kira. How fantastic.
Earring too.
Oh yeah, I have an earring. Well, it's not exactly an earring, it's like a fake one.
It doesn't look fake at all. It looks real. It's
And
gorgeous.
also I've got the lines on my nose.
I know, I can see those too. You are proper Bajoran. That's fantastic. You look great. I wish Nana hadn't left because she should see this. We'll send her a picture of you.
Okay.
So she can give you her impressions. She can give you advice in how to walk in that uniform. How are you both?
My sister has some drawings to share.
Lisa has some drawings to share.
Oh, fantastic.
I've been waiting for so long. I drew it right after we talked last time. And it was 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Oh, crikey, Bill, that's amazing. Look at that. That's wild.
Thank you.
Really, really good. I didn't know my hair looked like that, but I'm going to do something about it. That is absolutely fantastic. That you
Thank you.
Talented. And so, do you do drawings of other things, or do you just favorite people you're interested in? Because it's very, very hard to do people.
Mostly people. I drew this today too.
Oh, that's really cool too. What is that? Who is that? Tell me a bit about that.
Just some random girl. I wanted to use watercolor because I didn't use it for more than a year.
How are you finding using watercolor? I think it's really hard.
It's nice. It's like
you have to know about keeping the wetness levels and figuring out what's going on and not making any mistakes and being careful about your edges.
I remember I used watercolor in school. It felt pretty satisfying.
What kind of thing were you painting at school?
I don't really remember because it was a long time ago. Because of the quarantine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, painting with anything is pretty satisfying, I find. I haven't painted for years, but I used to do quite a lot of painting when I was a youngster. And then somehow I just sort of stopped.
Can we see your painting somewhere?
I have got some, but not here. They're in England. But I'll ask my brother to send pictures of some of the things that I did when I was young. Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, I used to love doing it. There's a watercolor. So I'll get him to send a picture of the watercolor.
When's the last time you painted something?
Oh, years ago. I mean, really years ago. You never forget. I wasn't great. I found it really therapeutic. I started because I was painting sets because I had in my imagination operas and plays that I wanted to make. So this is when I was 15, and I would draw everything. I would draw what my theater would look like, the characters and what they were wearing and what kind of stuff that was in the background. And so if it was an opera, you know, say like La Bohème, it would be like a kind of garret at the top of a house and in the mid of moonlight and stuff. And I used to love all that stuff. And then because I was so obsessed with becoming a theater director that I just had to draw everything. And that was the only way I could communicate what was going on to my parents, who were the only people who saw all these paintings and drawings. But I think you're genuinely talented. I mean, that is really very, very good draftsmanship.
Thank you.
Actually, I'm really good at writing, and my passion is writing, and her passion is art, and she's really good at drawing. So, like, once our dad kind of told us, hey, how about you guys make a story? Like, I'm just going to write, and she makes pictures.
What a good idea. Have you started?
Nah, I don't know. We're kind of lazy.
What kind of story would you like to make? What's the story that you're interested in right now?
Well, I guess realistic fiction.
By that you mean sort of people right now that they're doing fictional things.
Well, yeah, but some of it is fake.
Absolutely. You don't want to, but based on people you know and your experiences.
Yeah, technically.
I think that's how most writers actually start. I think that's a really smart move. Would you like to write for children or would you like to write for adults?
I don't know.
Because there must be a story that we can come up with that you can write.
Probably for old kids.
Yeah, okay.
Like,
what's something you know a lot about? What's something you could write about?
That I've kind of experienced, I guess, kid problems.
Okay, kid problems is really good. I completely understand.
When
you don't have to tell me, but you can.
Well, yeah, something like that.
Do you have a favorite like animal, or do you have a favorite place that you'd like to talk about? What's your favorite animal? Do you like animals?
My favorite animal is a platypus.
Oh, great choice. Great choice. And there's such a mix match of, they're just such a mess up of all kinds of cool stuff. Yeah, they're really great. Absolutely agree. That's a terrific beast. Yeah. So you could write a story about a platypus.
Yeah.
And you could write a story about a young platypus who was having young platypus problems.
Oh my gosh, that's the most perfect idea I've ever heard. I should probably.
Let's go. Let's rock and roll. And now you're going to have to figure out how to draw platypuses so that you can illustrate the young platypus who's having young platypus problems.
You need to teach me.
That's how you start writing stuff. Just think of things you like and what you know about.
Okay.
What's your next project? What are you drawing next?
I don't know.
Yeah, the way she draws, she just kind of like thinks, I'm just going to draw something, and it turns out great.
Yeah. Do you do sketches and then develop the sketches into something more formidable?
Sometimes I do. I don't know. I don't have like really projects right now. I just do some good sketches and that's it.
And do you have a book of sketches where you like Da Vinci, where he keeps all his ideas, a nose here, a nail there?
I have several sketchbooks and stuff on my computer too. So it's kind of a little bit everywhere.
Are you doing computer artwork as well?
Yeah, I do.
What's that like?
I have this thing.
Like a tablet?
Yeah.
With a pen?
You just draw with a pen and show it on your screen. And it's pretty easy.
How would you like to earn money one day?
I don't know. I'm really scared of, a lot of artists, they lose their passion for art when it becomes their job.
Yeah. So you don't think you might do it for a living? You might just do it just to please yourself? Yeah. That's pretty healthy. But there are a lot of people who could do with really good artists. But you'll find it if you want to. No one should, encourage you to be poor. So it's one of those things. No one gets paid very well for those things.
Oh, you know what?
What?
Talking about projects. So for some time, I was just thinking of trying myself at acting, but I'm like, I don't know how to act. I'm not an actor at all.
But I'm a good actor.
I believe you.
Then there's this quarantine and everything is closed, and I'm like, what can we do? We dressed up as Star Trek characters and started to play out the scenes.
Fantastic idea. That's a great idea. And how
Yeah,
was it?
Very bad acting, but very fun. She was basically Major Kira, and I was everyone else.
Yeah.
Scott, Bashir, whoever.
I can see it now. She's basically ordering everyone around. And you're doing everything else. You make a great Kira, by the way. You really do. It's really strong.
Thank you.
Like that. I mean, I know this because I do it often, but it's very difficult to act in a language that isn't your first language. I mean, I don't know now you're speaking such good English that your thoughts are probably in English too, but I often found myself thinking in English, then translating that into another language and then coming back.
It's hard.
And that's really difficult. What's that, Doug?
For me, because I came to America when I was like
3.
Yeah.
3. I'm basically an
Better in-
all-American.
Better in English than in Russian.
You are. You are. In fact, you get to be whatever you want to be. That's the beauty of the world. So you can decide and you can change your mind a million times.
Yeah, but sometimes it's kind of sad that like it's hard for me to literally read in my own language, and I'm mad about that.
Well, is that because you're forgetting? Because I forgot Arabic, and that was a really big mistake. I don't recommend forgetting your first language.
I'm forgetting it, but I still talk to like my family in Russian or
Yeah.
my friends in Russian if they're Russian.
You should definitely do that as much as possible because you don't want to lose a language. Losing a language is like losing a friend. Don't let it slip away. I regret not speaking Arabic to this day. And I didn't speak great Arabic because I was only 3, but I was told I spoke like a 10-year-old. I lost a lot of Arabic. Do you remember conversations you had in Russian when you were, before you came here? Do you remember questions you asked people?
Yeah, like a little bit.
Because I remember talking to my grandfather in Sudan, and he was shaving his head over a little pool outside. I remember asking him what he was doing because he had a bald head and he was taking a blade, a knife, and just doing this. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm shaving my head." And I went, "Oh, that doesn't sound very interesting." But I had that conversation in Arabic when I was 3, and I can remember it now in English. What's that about? What happened there? There's some kind of brain trick thing that happened that my brain translated the whole
What point
conversation.
in your life you switched to English fully?
I would say 5, I switched to English. And then by 6 or 7, I switched fully.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
and
early.
it's early, but I was a little brown boy in a school full of white boys. And I just desperately didn't want to be noticed anymore. The best way of not being noticed anymore was to speak like them. Obviously, I couldn't do anything about my color, but I could speak like them. And then eventually speak better than them. Then I vanished. Then I wasn't the focus of people's attention and rude jokes and stuff like that. Because kids can be pretty tough on other kids if they want to be. So I think we've got a plan. I think we're going to have possibly a young platypus story, which I'm very excited about, if you can come up with it, especially with a platypus that's having young platypus problems, which I think might be really good. And platypus look kind of funny, and they might be upset by some of the things people say because they look kind of funny. And that may be a story.
Yeah, actually, I have a book. It's called Diary of a Minecraft Creeper. So technically, Minecraft is a game, and a creeper is a monster in Minecraft. And so it's a diary of a monster in Minecraft. Yeah, that could be my help.
Exactly, a young platypus diary. The diary of a young platypus. Let's talk about who that platypus thinks he or she is, or it is, or they are, or whatever you want to call it. You can then get involved in their little life, what they'd like to be, and all of that. And maybe they've got a sister who's a brilliant drawer. We have this writer's block is now released. And breathe. Lovely to talk to you guys. Come on back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, happy
Good
birthday,
night.
Zach.
Happy birthday, Zach.
Happy birthday, Zach. Happy birthday, Zach. And goodbye.
Bye,
Fun
everybody.
again.
Bye.
Birthday, Zach.
Bye.
Have fun storming the castle.